Hello and welcome back to the channel. Glad to have you here. And today I'm going to show you exactly how I fertilize my lettuce plants in order to get them green, lush, and crisp. Now, be mindful this video is a video that was taken early on when we started to transplant the small lettuce seedlings into the soil in wooden containers. And I've tried a lot of methods. Some worked and some didn't over time. But this routine that I'm going to share with you, it changed everything. So let's dive into my weekly organic fertilizing routine that keeps my lettuce thriving without any chemicals. So first of all, you need to understand what the lettuce needs. The lettuce grows fast and shallow. So that means that it needs three things. It needs gentle but consistent feeding. It loves nitrogen in the early stage of leafy growth, and it needs a balance of calcium and magnesium in order to avoid bitter leaves. But too much fertilizer can actually lead to weak growth. It can lead to aphids and even bolting. So this is what I do. I stick to a natural weekly routine that feeds without stressing the plant. So here's my favorite organic fertilizers that I use, my go-to for lettuce, starting with number one that I've shared multiple times here on the channel. It is compost tea, and I give it once a week. So I've talked about how to make compost tea. I will link the full video in the description box below. But just for the sake of this video, to save you the time and the effort, I soak a handful of the compost in the water overnight. I strain and then I use it to water the lettuce in the morning, and this actually gives a mild nitrogen boost and also enriches the soil's biology. The second fertilizer that I rely on twice a month is seaweed or kelp extract. So I get this from my local warehouse store here in Australia. I just get it from Bunnings, the seaweed extract, and I get that in a 1 liter bottle, and it helps with root strength, pest resistance, and mineral uptake. And I also dilute it as per instructions. Every brand is different, and then I water around the base of the lettuce. Fertilizer number 4 is something that you can actually do at home, and it is a banana peel and eggshell powder, and you sprinkle that every 2 weeks. And it provides potassium from the banana leaves that support the healthy leaf formation, as well as calcium from the eggshells in order to prevent tip burn and bitter edges. And lastly, fertilizer number 4 is warm castings, and this is a top dress monthly. And I gently work in a thin layer of warm castings around the base, and it actually provides a slow release nutrient without burning the roots. So with that being said, I've talked about the 4 fertilizers that I use and rotate in, starting with compost tea, which is once a week. Then we have seaweed twice a week. Then we have a banana peel and eggshell powder sprinkled every 2 weeks. And lastly, warm castings as a top dress monthly. Sometimes I stick to it, sometimes I don't. But what I definitely use is compost tea once a week, as well as seaweed and kelp twice a week. This is something that I'm very consistent with in the taking care of the lettuce as well as the herbs around it as well. So how do I apply the fertilizer for the lettuce? Now, be mindful that lettuce is extremely sensitive, so I never go ahead and pour concentrated liquid directly on the stem. Here's what I do in order to apply it. I use a water-soluble fertilizer like a compost tea or a seaweed, and I go ahead and I apply early morning or late afternoon. And I always water the soil around the base, not on the leaves. And if I want to use a dry fertilizer like warm castings or eggshell powder, I sprinkle gently around the plant and I lightly scratch into the topsoil and water right after. And sometimes I also use a spray bottle for the compost tea when feeding small lettuce seedlings such as these ones, because it really does avoid overwatering. Now let's talk about my weekly feeding schedule, and here's the routine that works wonders for me. So on Monday, I water with compost tea. Wednesday, I check for any pest and I apply banana peel powder if needed. Friday, I would go ahead and light water with a diluted seaweed. And Sunday, I would harvest outer leaves and top dress with warm castings bi-weekly. So this routine keeps my plants full of energy and it reduces the need for chemical spray. You can get the full routine linked in the description box below as a PDF available for you for free. Also, let's talk about some fertilizer mistakes to avoid. Now, I made a few mistakes early on and I learned from them. Here's the top 4 mistakes that I made. Mistake number 1 is using chicken manure directly. And yes, I'm guilty of that, especially early on when we bought the dried chicken manure back in Finland. I used it directly, and that was a huge no-no on any plant. on any herb, let alone the sensitive lettuce. Now, don't use chicken manure directly because it's too hot and it will burn your lettuce. And it's like a full-on kill for the lettuce. Also, avoid overfeeding. I went ahead and I overfed because I was like, you know what? This lettuce is really small and sensitive and vulnerable. Let me just get a little bit of fertilizer. But no, more fertilizer will not result in faster growth. It actually stresses the plant. Mistake number 3 is fertilizing in the heat of the day because I'm like, you know what? It's hot. This lettuce looks like it's wilting. Let me just, fertilize it more and give it water more. That way, maybe it's just going to boost. Absolutely not. Don't fertilize in the heat of the day because it will lead to leaf wilting and nutrient shock. And mistake number 4 is never apply fertilizer on dry soil. Please always water first. Water first and then apply a little bit of fertilizer. So instead, this is what I do now. I aim for consistent, small doses, just like feeding a baby. You got to treat lettuce like a baby. It just applies on all sorts of varieties of lettuce, not just this variety that you can see right here. So let's talk about the results before and after. Now, before starting this routine that I'm sharing with you today, my lettuce was slow, it was pale, it was a little bit bitter as well. I was wondering, what am I doing wrong? After switching to this organic feeding schedule, the color deepened, the leaves became fuller and tastier, and I started harvesting every 4 to 5 days. So if you're growing in pots, like I do on my balcony back in Finland, or like I'm doing right here in Australia with the wooden pots. Here are some extra tips that I want you to be mindful of. So use a slow release compost pellets if you can't fertilize weekly. And also refresh your potting mix every season because it gets depleted fast in small spaces. And always mulch with the shredded leaves or straw. As you can see here, we added some mulch right in the beginning of the video to retain nutrients. So this is my full lettuce fertilizing routine, simple, organic, and beginner friendly. Let me know in the comments section. Have you ever used compost tea or banana peel fertilizer? And if this video has helped you in any way, give it a like, share it with your garden friend, and subscribe to this channel in order to view all our new videos. And don't forget to hit the bell button so you don't miss out on our next video, how I plant lettuce seedlings step by step. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Take care and have an amazing, great day. All the best.